wanted to own a house. And so I was driving new home communities at night, visualizing myself in these homes. I didn't give a fuck if it felt real or not. I closed my eyes. I was like, I'm going to do it. So I'm like, okay, I figure out how much money I need to have. Honestly, I don't even remember. I couldn't tell you how much it was, but I'm going to tell you that it was $12,000 or $15,000 at 18. Okay, that was a lot of money. It was like, back half of my 18, turning 19.
Well, I mean, and 18-year-olds love to party. So it's very easy to spend your little $400 paycheck on clothes or, something to look cool. So,
yeah.
I mean, it shows a lot of discipline.
It did. The level of discipline that I caught myself implementing was that I didn't believe in buying a Gatorade. I didn't believe, like, because I would get off of the pool at the Mirage where I was in 115 degree heat for 8 hours, crushing it, running around, and everything in me wanted a Gatorade. And I would say, no, just go home and drink water. Like every day, because I was working in Norris and I was working at the Mirage, and I was making $300 to $400 a day at the Mirage. And then I was making, I don't know, 60 to 80 bucks if I was lucky at Nora's, literally lucky. But something that I found really interesting when a lot switched in my life is I didn't actually realize, and I think it's important for people listening, just how much money is out there. If you're making 50 grand a year, and arguably 50 is still reasonable. So there's some people who are making, $11 an hour. They don't realize that real money actually exists, that there are ways to obtain hundreds of thousands of dollars in liquid cash. There's ways to make $5,000 a day.
I have a perfect example. When I was working Nora's, my, father mentor was Ricky Tavano. Mm-hmm. And before I really started making money at Nora's, he was like, live your life, spend as much, have fun. And I'm like, if he's saying it. So I remember being in Nora's and I made more than anyone. And it gets to a point where I'm 30 and a guy that was just running food bought a house. And I'm like, like no fucking way. And then you fast forward to 2 years ago, I think he sold his house and made over 100,000.
Sure.
So he wasn't making nearly as much as me, maybe 30% less than me. And he had a house with equity. And years later, he now has $100,000 to play with.
Yeah. It's, to me, what I would summarize that great story with a statement. It's like, it's not how much you make, it's what you do with it.
Absolutely.
Because I wasn't making very much, if in perspective, but I was just so frugal, man. So the way that I set my life up to be frugal was, do you remember Lino from Nora's? I called him Lino.
Lino Dalba.
Lino Dalba.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he comes to Nora's. I'm like, hey, I was living at Gaston's house. We'll skip past that. I'm paying too much in rent. That's how crazy I was. I was just renting a room. I think I was paying like $550 a month, and I was like, it's too much. So Lino comes along. He gets a 1-bedroom apartment, and I believe it was the Polo Towers, but not Polo Towers, Polo Club.
Yeah, Polo Club.
On Decatur and Flamingo. And third floor. So it's hot as fuck all the time, and you had to go up 3 flights of stairs to get to your space. So it was the cheapest unit in the building. I think the total rent was like $600. So now it was me, Lino, and then this older gentleman. I'm sure you probably saw him at Nora's, but I could never remember his name. But us three lived in this apartment. There was only 1 bedroom. So we took our mattresses and we just shoved them in the no beds, mattresses, shoved them in the 1 bedroom. And then there was enough room for mine up against the window, his in front of the TV, and then the dresser, and then a very small walkway. I don't even want to say walkway. It was like a scoot through way from in front of the TV to the mattress.
But you all decided that we're going to live like this to save money?
Yep. And he was too, because he was new here to America. So he had to start off from a grinding space just organically. He was like, I just want to make it.
Yeah.
I just want to make it in America, meaning have a place to live.
So there's a level of respect in that situation.
You know what I didn't even realize until I was literally sitting right here talking to you about this? I think there's a reason that all these foreigners are incredibly kind people, sweet people. You can just feel it in them. And then most of the time they got a fuckload of money.
A lot.
Yeah. A lot. And you may not know it. It's probably rare to see it, but you just know it. I know it. I know a handful of foreign guys that weren't born in America and gals.
Grateful as shit.
Grateful as shit, love of the American culture, love Americans, and have a ton of money and are extremely kind people.
Yeah.
Well, I think I may have gotten what a treat that I may have been influenced by that. About 6 months in, I've saved enough money to buy a home. And actually not, this was when they were giving loans to anybody. That's why. I was going to say, I don't know how I got approved for the loan. But they were giving loans to everybody. So anyway.
What kind of loan?
It was an 80-20. It was the second mortgage was 8.75 and the first was 6%. And the first was 80% of the purchase price, and the back, it was probably 80-15 because I think I had to come up with 5%.
The down payment.
Yeah, or something. I had to have some skin in the game. But yeah, that was the loan. And how funny that the back half was 9%. And I was so proud when I paid it off too. Anyway, so I moved into that house. I got a bunch of roommates. I think, were you one of the first roommates there?
I was the second round. Andre lived there before me.
Pope, right?
Yeah.
I think I just had one roommate. I don't think we ever had two. I don't think we needed to. The payment was like $1,100 a month. So, Anyway, so, but my point was, is I just kept, see, I can get into so many details. We can talk about Rehnquist, and we can talk about, everything that we had happen there and this and that. But the big picture here for me was that I still didn't have my footing. I still didn't understand my lane. I just knew that I was doing things that were perceived to be good. And that was, I owned a piece of real estate. I had a reasonably steady job. So now I had moved from the pool to valet. And now I'm like.
And I think you finally got your Lexus from the Eclipse.
So somewhere in there, it'd be difficult.
So house, nice car.
Yes.
Steady job. Mm-hmm. You're feeling.
I was feeling accomplished.
Yeah.
I felt like I was doing everything right. And then saving. I was always a believer in 20 grand. And then the reason it was 20 grand is because living expenses were less. And I was like, if I ever had to tell so-and-so to go fly a kite or leave that job, I always had enough money to be able to feel free enough to do that.